Hello, this is Jessa Jones from iPad Rehab Microsoldering, and you're listening to the Scene World Podcast.
Hey, it's the Scene World Podcast. I'm AJ, and Jurg is that handsome fella over there in Germany.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing. Um,
Nice.
um,
Yeah, so in a minute we will
yes,
talk to
Martine Postma in a
Martine.
minute.
Exactly, right to repair. That's a big
Yes,
topic.
we're coming back. We're taking a little side quest detour back into our Right to Repair month and cue air horns.
True.
And yeah, so we'll be hitting that in a second. Before that,
Yeah, we have some
news,
news.
news.
Yeah. Um,
Lay it on me.
right. So there is a new, well, games that weren't, and it's from the 80s. It's called um, Pop Jumper Mario, an unofficial C64 Mario game, was found.
Hmm.
Um, and that's pretty neat. And there are
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
details people can find out about on Indie Retro News. We will put a link to that in the description.
Down that away. That's cool.
Nice.
So is it like a jump and run like Mario?
It's if you look on the video, it more looked like a Donkey Kong clone or something.
Okay. Well, Mario was in that too.
Right.
Although I think he was just Jumpman in that, but they didn't. They hadn't settled on.
Exactly. It
They hadn't
was
settled on a
popular
name yet.
back then.
He was still getting his plumbing certificate.
Do you have any news?
Don't have any news actually.
Really?
I am newsed out. Yeah.
Uh,
I can take a quick look and see if there's anything. I don't think there
okay.
is anything new though.
I mean, Another World gets 64,
We've
which is
talked
an
about that though. We've spoken about that.
we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've spoken about Another World on yeah.
Then I forgot
I
news
swear, I
because
swear that
that's
we I
oh
swear we
hell. Well,
covered
then I
that.
don't have any news.
You got anything else?
No,
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
there you go. I mean, that's
I got the news, but you tell me we already spoke about the news, so I'm a bit
well, no, well,
confused.
if we could talk about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking about it because it's a cool thing.
Did we mention it already? Really? I'm not
I am
sure.
aware of it, and therefore I believe we've spoken about it. But I could be, maybe I'm making that up. So there's nothing
No,
wrong with
no,
talking.
now you totally confused me.
We've talked about things. I mean, we've talked about the FPGA SID about 14,000 times in our news section.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with going over something twice if we have talked about it, and if not, then this will be the first time, and it'll be good.
Well, anyway, yeah. Anyway, we will put a link to that. There's a YouTube video about it,
Hmm.
work in progress. We will put a link to that.
Yeah, and this is for
Yeah.
Another
Well,
World, which was a game on the
exactly.
Amiga, and I guess was it just on the Amiga?
No, it was on the Mega Drive too.
Yeah. So I mean, there's they're porting it to the C64, and there's a proof of concept that's available as a YouTube video.
Right.
I love the
In-
fact that they're porting all these things like Eye of the Beholder. We just Oliver Lindau is
right.
working on Eye of the Beholder
Right.
for the C64, and I've played
That's
that.
that's a coming up interview actually.
Yes, and I've played that game a bit on the Amiga, but I haven't really gotten very far on it just because I just don't have the time to really play games that much.
Right. And I
But
suck at games. That's my problem.
stuff like that,
That's
like role
my
playing
issue.
games, I'm pretty good at,
Yeah.
especially like the
Uh,
AD&D games, like the
right.
ones that the Death Knights of Kryn and all that crap. Like I played all that stuff, finished all those games back in the day.
Okay.
I was really into that stuff. Those are like the few games that I actually like really got into playing.
Hmm.
But
Righty.
yeah, in fact, at certain times, like when the weather is right, I see. I'm not even joking about this. I'm not even joking about this because I used to go to work, and I would work, and I'd come home from work, and I'd sit down and I'd play like Death Knights of Kryn or some nonsense like that, But so when it's like an autumn night when it's kind of cold out and I'm driving around and stuff, and it's like my brain automatically goes back to like I'm going home and playing some Death Knights of Kryn. I have no recollection of the game at all, but like I don't remember what happens in it or anything like that. But I just remember like the feeling of being like I'm going home to play this game, and I guess the game is kind of cold and dark and whatnot. It matched the weather conditions,
Right.
that I was in at the time, which was like the autumn of 1996. I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, since that was all my news I had, and since you don't have any news, should we jump to the interview?
Yeah, let's pop on over there and head back into right to
Eight
repair.
8 minutes section. That's
That may be a new record.
already. So enjoy.
Yes.
Enjoy. Right.
Yep.
That's it.
Let's jump over to Martine Postma and the right to repair again.
Today, we are talking to another guest again, and this time it's Martine Postma. Hello.
Hello.
And you are basically known for having created repair cafes, the concept, the ideas.
Yeah, that's right. I
Wow.
did come up with the concept 11, almost 12 years ago now, in 2009. So that's pretty long time ago already.
Wow. And I wonder, I mean 11 years ago, was that already a problem to get your devices fixed? I mean this topic of, getting your devices fixed and getting the parts and all that stuff just happened like the last 3 years, that it really was covered by media much?
Mm-hmm. No, but it's been a problem to have things fixed for a long time. And that is actually one of the reasons that I came up with the repair cafe notion, because I noticed that it's no longer possible to just bring a broken item somewhere and to have it fixed for a reasonable price. And also that new stuff is so cheap, relatively cheap, that in many or in most cases, it's more attractive to buy something new than to have the old item fixed. So that's the reason that I wanted to do something about that, and I wanted to bring repairing back into our daily lives. And then I started thinking, how can I do that? How can I make it more attractive to try to fix something or to have it fixed somewhere? And I thought that, well, for one thing, it would have to be cheaper than getting a new item. So it would have to be, well, practically free to be able to compete with new items. And it would have to be a fun place. It would have to be an experience, an event where you could go to. So then I started talking to people about this idea, and gradually that's how the concept of repair cafe developed. So it's a place in the neighborhood where you can bring your broken item, and where there are volunteers from your own community who still have repair skills and who have tools and who know what to do when something breaks. So you can go there and you take a seat at the table with the expert, and you try to examine the item together. And that's the fun part, because then you realize that although repairing seems like a big mystery to many people, at the repair cafe you find out that it's still possible, even with items that look not repairable at all. But when you know what to do, it turns out that it's still possible to repair a broken item. And when you do succeed in taking something apart, it's really an eye-opener. And it's something that many people have never experienced before, that to look inside an object and see what it actually does, and that that it cannot function when a wire has come loose, or when there is dirt in the system somewhere, or when there is something else really relatively simple that's not functioning. And when you realize that it's that simple, that you can reattach the wire, or you can clean the item, or you can lubricate it, or decalcify, or things like that, is often enough to restore an item to its proper function.
I think it's already like 2 years ago. We had an interview with the iPhone guy, Scotty Allen. Probably you've heard of him. He was the guy that made his own iPhone out of new parts from China. It went viral, and he said that an iPhone is not harder to repair than any other phone. Just the parts are smaller. But basically, it's still the same thing like any other Android phone or something. It's just smaller parts than other stuff. So it's and he made the point that people started fearing of even trying to repair the electronics. Is that something you found, that people were like saying, I don't even want to try to open it?
Yeah, I think many people are a bit afraid to open an item, because they think of it as an entity, one thing. They don't think of it as a number of parts put together to do something. So, and many people know so little about repairing that they cannot imagine that something like that could work. They have absolutely no idea whatsoever about repairing. And that is really something. It's quite shocking, actually, that that I've experienced that in over the past 12 years, that many people, or most people, have absolutely no repair skills at all. So the concept is just not there.
Right.
Interesting. Was there a key moment 12 years ago that made you realize that you have to do something about it?
Yeah, well, I was a journalist at the time, and I wrote about sustainability, more specifically about waste reduction and waste prevention. And at a certain moment, I just wanted to do more than only write about it, and I wanted to try to really change people's behavior. And it shocked me every week when I walked on the street on the day when the garbage was collected, and there was just so much waste every week, every next Tuesday again, that I started wondering, how is that possible? How is it possible that we have this enormous mountain of garbage every week again? So I started thinking, I want to stimulate people to create less waste, and well, that's when I started thinking about repairing.
But there are still businesses nowadays that that electronic repair business. But I heard a lot that the main problem is that the parts are so expensive. And some manufacturers, like from washing machines, is always a good example, where they say that the engine of the washing machine or the water pump is so expensive that it's not even worth spending the money on the spare part, and then rather more worth buying a new washing machine, which you can get for 300 euros if you buy
Yeah.
a cheap one, you know?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And the repairer who comes to fix your washing machine will advise you to buy a new one. And you have to be really dedicated or devoted to repair to say, no, I want it repaired after all, even if it will cost more money. So not many people will do that. But what was your question?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't really a question. It was just a remark. But yeah, I wonder, did you find a way to work around that? I mean, you said at the beginning you try to make repair cheaper with repair cafes, but you still have the problem with the parts and stuff and the knowledge.
Well,
Like,
but if
Yeah.
there's a machine, let me just jump in. If there's a machine that is broken beyond repair, I mean, it's a donor for parts, and you've basically got a free water pump or a free, the engine for the washing machine
Yeah.
because
Yeah, but the thing is that many items are not broken beyond repair at all. They have just some little failure, some little thing has gone wrong, and people don't know how to fix that. So the experience at Repair Cafe is actually that things are not so very much broken. So the repair is often once you're inside the object, then in many cases it's not so difficult, and it's often enough to clean, to lubricate, to reattach a wire, to do the little things that you could also imagine people doing for themselves at home. But people have so little knowledge about repairing that they don't feel comfortable doing that at home. Or they just don't care enough for the products because they were so cheap to buy that they don't think that it's worth, giving the effort to give it a try.
I can attest to the fact that a lot of things are very, very easy to fix. One of my very first job out of high school, and this is back in the '90s, was I worked in banks. I broke open safes and stuff like that. But occasionally, I would be called upon to fix a drive-through, which is a machine with the pneumatic pump and pushes all this stuff through. And they'd be pushing to get brand new ones, and half the time we'd find out that it was these little gaskets that sit on the carrier that you put your money in and it goes through the tube. One of them has like a notch out of it, and so now the air doesn't, it can't build up air pressure to push it through. So, and you keep a bunch of these things in the car and you slap it in, and usually that's the problem, or it's a button. A button has broken, so you just replace a little switch, and then everything else works. And it's usually something incredibly simple. And I mean, at the time, I had no experience, and I was going out and just playing around and experimenting. Nowadays, you can go online and find schematics for just about everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's absolutely true.
actually, I had an experience with that 2 years ago. That I have this CRT TV.
Oh, the TV
that
story.
yeah, that's the story I always tell. I have this CRT TV that I use for retro games, especially for light guns, because light guns don't work on modern TV. So I got this free TV from my family one day before they wanted it to put on the dumpster. I called my father. I was like, "Hey, how about your old CRT TV?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's going to the dumpster tomorrow." Like, no, instead of giving it to the dumpster, give it to me. So what I didn't know is that it had multiple picture issues. So tripod squeezing and all that stuff, and the picture was mashed, and it wasn't very good. So I had this Telefunken 95 CRT TV, and so a year after I was so fed up with the back picture quality, I decided to go to the Yellow Pages online and look for a repair store, and they fixed the TV. Interestingly, the guy came like 70 something. I was like, yeah, that's an easy fix. That's an easy fix. I will give you the TV in 2 days, back repaired. No issue.
Well, yeah,
And
especially on
then,
older things like that. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of stuff like that is
yeah,
through hole stuff, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
so
Anyway,
now
anyway,
it's micro soldering, and
yeah.
it's
Anyway, the story goes on that he called me 3 days later saying that the thing was almost beyond repair because there was a shortcut in the power supply. The video decoder was broken. There was a shortcut on the PCB, and there was a cut in the PCB and a crack. So they repaired it anyway. And then I gave him a second TV tube, and he was so pissed that he never repaired that. And he told me for 1 year that he can't get the part. So I said, like, okay, I take it back. Then I asked another guy, and it was found that the second repair just had a loose grounding wire. Took 2 minutes to repair.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this guy lied to me.
Difficult
This
story.
guy lied to me. I told him I don't care how long it takes or how much it costs, just repair it for me. He said, yeah, I will repair it. And he lied to me because he didn't even want to look at the CRT. That really shocked me, That really shocked me.
Yeah.
He lied to me for a year.
Heh.
I was calling every week, like, what's the status on my CRT? Yeah. Yeah, and then in August last year, it broke again. I went to another TV repairs service because I told them I had a bad experience with the other one, and on the same day they told me, yeah, we found the problem. We will bring it to you tomorrow. I was like,
Okay.
oh, at least something positive about Corona, because now they need business.
Yeah.
They will take anything, basically, But the front desk woman, she was like, what? A TV from 95 with those huge tubes? I was like, yeah, that is why it's called CRT, cathode ray tubes. She was like, oh my God, we didn't have those TVs in years to repair. But they did it. So so people don't believe me when I call a company and said I want this old thing repaired.
Well, actually, the older, the more repairable. So you stand a good chance having an old item repaired.
But the problem is many people are scared because of the high voltage
Yeah,
thing.
at
That's
repair
a big,
cafes too.
Yeah.
Many repair cafes don't take old televisions because of the high voltage risk. Naturally, they don't want to run that risk.
exactly. Which I totally understand. So I even didn't try repair cafes for that matter. I always went to a real repair. I always spoke to old people that were like, almost in pension or something, almost retired, and they were like, yeah, I'm still here for the old stuff. So that was an interesting experience. I mean, 20 years ago, I never thought it would be an issue to getting a TV repaired.
No, it probably wasn't.
So that is how times change,
Yeah. Yeah, not necessarily for the best.
I mean, let's be honest. After our time, the youngsters, they will not care about the old electronics because
Talk about
they
youngsters
never
like
had.
we're old people. Good God, man, stop that.
I mean, yeah,
Every
the
every
next
podcast you say youngsters, and it's like, dude.
Well, the next
Well,
generation.
I'm not sure if you're right. I
Yeah.
think the younger generation is very much into repairing too. And when you show it to them that it's possible, they can get into it and they can get the hang of it. And I'm confident that they will in the end.
And they're
And they
being
should, of
raised
course.
with this technology as well. Again, like I said before, a lot of the newer stuff is, well, and like Jörg said, an iPhone, it's very small components. And to someone like any of us who grew up with older machines with big old chips that you could desolder pretty easily, the new stuff, like I'd be terrified to try to dive
Mhm.
too much into that, to actually take chips off or anything like that. But kids, the next generation is going to grow up never having known that technology. So this small stuff is what's going to be normal for them.
Yeah. And as long as they have the right screwdrivers
Hmm.
and the right bits, then they can get they can get far.
Right.
That's another issue. We have tons of bits and screws, driving, torquing, whatsoever,
You don't want to see
just
my toolbox.
just to make sure that the layman can't open the device to even look into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is a shame, which is a big shame.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why. At Repair Cafe Foundation and in other organizations promoting the same cause, we always say that why don't companies use the same screws? Use normal screws that people have a screwdriver for,
Mhm.
and tell the customers which tools they need to make repairs. And that would be so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. I would just like if they would stop using glue.
Yeah.
That's even worse. That's
Yeah.
even
Mhm.
worse.
That
Yeah.
is the worst.
Or
Yeah.
melt casings together.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
even worse than using glue.
Hmm. Yeah.
I see you have seen a lot, you've heard a lot, probably.
Yeah.
So what was your experience, the starting point? I mean, how did it all start? I mean, I guess back then, as I said, almost 12 years ago, you didn't think that this brand would reach out to other countries, like
No.
even India.
Yeah.
Or was it the thing you had in your mind from day one?
No. My idea was to create a network of 12 repair cafes for each province of the Netherlands, so that people could go to a place not too far from their homes. But I didn't think that there would be demand for more than 12 of those locations. But luckily, I turned out to be wrong. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's everywhere now. Was it last year we did the our right to repair? I'll pause here for the air horn. Our right to
Yeah,
repair month or whatever it was.
yeah,
It's as far, South Africa's got, these repair cafes, and they're
right,
everywhere.
yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, that shows that people understand that something needs to change. That we cannot go on using natural resources the way we do, and
Mhm.
that there are people in the next generation who will want to use these resources too. So more and more people start to realize that it is not normal to throw an item away when there's just a tiny little thing wrong.
Mhm.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. It boggles my mind with phones and computers and stuff. Like, if I had a flat tire, I wouldn't get a new car.
Hmm. No, and that's simply because your car is still too expensive to
Right,
buy.
right.
So,
But
but when you have a vacuum cleaner or a kettle or well something that you didn't pay a lot of money for, then you don't find it worthwhile to repair it.
Mhm.
So that's crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if we didn't have this part problem, we would actually have an easier life nowadays. I mean, I remember back in the 90s, if something had a bug, like a device had a problem, it was in all units of this device. And nowadays you mainly use a USB flash drive, and you make a firmware update and update the software, and the problem is fixed. I remember my mother buying a satellite for satellite TV, and the satellite receiver um, wouldn't connect to the satellite dish that was inside the TV. So they said to the technician, the satellite dish cannot be found by the receiver inside the TV. And instead of asking me, they invested 300 euros in a separated satellite receiver. And a year later, when I found out, I used a USB flash drive, went to the internet, downloaded an update, put it in. 5 minutes later, it was finding the satellite dish. See, $300 wasted for a device you didn't even need. If you just had read the manual and went to the internet making a software update to your device.
Yeah, that's another thing that people don't do. They don't read the manual. And I think that's also one of the reasons for that is also that things are so cheap.
Yeah.
So you don't have the feeling that you've bought something valuable. You don't have the feeling that you have to take good care of this item because it's cost you money, and it's maybe you had to save up to be able to buy it. So buying stuff is just too easy to create a sense of value with people.
Or even things that have value, they don't. A lot of times they don't come with a manual, and the companies go out of their way to stop you from trying to repair them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Apple, for instance, you can't do it. The newer machines, you can't do much of anything with them.
No, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, but Apple is a different animal here because they even don't do repairs themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Many times. I mean,
Yeah.
even when you send it in for repair, they mainly just swap parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you buy and many YouTubers like iPad Rehab, which we had for an interview, that do iPad and iPhone repairs as a business. Even if you buy a refurbished one from the Apple Store, from the Guru Bar, it could happen that it was a water damaged phone that Apple just recycled. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that this water damage,
At least they're recycling it.
Yeah, but the problem is this water damage PCB will only last a year if you are lucky.
Yeah.
So that means they knowingly charge you for a worse device that is not 100% functional, knowing that in a year or two it will break. So and you will probably not notice it because you don't open it.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, this way they got you buying the newest iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not so good.
It's kind of weird. And AJ, you mentioned all devices having the same screw. That's actually an invention from the Netherlands. Philips.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are called Philips head screws.
Yeah.
Which is the cross screws.
Yep.
So it's actually a Dutch invention.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Right. So now, do you remember how did it happen that it first reached outside of the Netherlands? That your brand became international?
Yes, I remember how that happened. It was through the media, because we received a lot of attention from the media at the very beginning in 2009, 2010. And first we had the Dutch media. There were camera teams and photographers and writing journalists at every repair cafe session at the beginning. And then at a certain moment, we started having reporters from foreign media. So the Dutch reporters who were reporting for their newspaper or TV show or radio program in their country. They started visiting us, and that's how the concept got abroad. And then when these articles were published and the TV programs were broadcast, we got emails from people in Germany and in Belgium and in France and in the United States, from people who wanted to do something like that in their own community too. And then, so when I started in the Netherlands, I wanted to visit each city apart and there help the people to set up their own repair cafe. But after the first edition, the first cafe, people were so enthusiastic that I got a lot of emails and phone calls from people who wanted advice from me. And there were so many people asking for advice that I thought I have to come up with something else, a different procedure. So then I wrote a starter kit telling you what to do to set something like this up in your own community. And that was, first it was only available in Dutch, but then after we got attention from foreign media, I realized that we had to translate the starter kit into French and German and English, and so that's what we did then, and it kept us very busy for a couple of years.
Which should have been easy for you. I've read that you know tons of languages: Russian, Dutch, English, French.
Yeah, I do, but
German.
But not well enough to
Okay.
to write without mistakes. And I didn't have time, so we just hired proper translators to do this well.
Wow, I was just amazed seeing your profile. That by how many languages you know. That really amazed me. You know.
Well, the Netherlands is a small country, so if you want to communicate with many people, you cannot expect everyone to speak your language.
I go by English most of the time. So
yeah, me too.
One thing I wondered, I read on your homepage that that you even have a repair cafe in India, and I wondered how that happened. I mean, I always thought that certain countries like India or other countries perhaps are more into repair.
Yeah, they are, or they used to be. And in India, in Bengaluru, there is this repair cafe. This is run by a woman who is, I think, 30 years old. And she says that her father still knew how to fix things and found it normal to have things fixed when they broke. But her generation is doesn't have the skills either. So even a country like India is losing this particular skill set. So even the countries like India are no longer able to repair like they used to. And that's what she wants to change in Bengaluru. And well, that's a hell of a job, of course.
Wow, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
No, me neither. But yeah.
Well, I have to say, my family, my childhood was always a bit different because we had my grandfather that was a lot into electronics, and he knew English, so he would repair a lot of things that got broken. So we still had an old Nordmende VHS recorder from 1977, you know, and he still had a running black and white TV and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So in my childhood, it was always like, don't buy something new if you can still fix it. I just learned when we're doing this podcast, and when I saw on YouTube those channels popping up like repair cafes and stuff, that this is seriously an issue, you know. And especially this repair cafe brand, I think it became a culture thing. I mean, my father knows nothing about electronics. He was never interested into computers or something. But when I was talking to him on the phone a few weeks ago, he was like, yeah, we even went to repair cafes ourselves.
Mhm.
They got something fixed. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, my father knows what a repair cafe is.
Yeah.
So it really became a pop culture, I would say, even. It's some way. It must make you proud that your idea spreads so much worldwide.
Yeah, I'm happy that it did, and it could grow much bigger. Now we have 2,000 repair cafes worldwide, which is still very small contribution to a better world. So my ideal would be that there would be a repair cafe or a similar repair initiative somewhere in all communities across the world, and that kids would learn about repairing at school so that they find it normal when something breaks to first take a look at it and try if they can fix it, if they can see what's wrong, and if not, if a friend could help, or if their friends cannot help, maybe someone else can. And so we need to go to that kind of society where people have these skills, where these skills are passed on to the next generation and are taught at school, and where information is available so that you can always find out more about an object if you don't know how to fix it yourself, and where there are multiple initiatives all working towards more repairing, more preserving, less throwing away, less wasting, less recycling. For many people, recycling is the first step, and has for many people, recycling is a good thing. They think that when something is recycled, then that's good, but it's not necessarily the case. Recycling actually, in my opinion, is the last thing that you should do after you've tried everything else. First, you buy it, you buy an item, you use it, then something breaks, then you can repair it, you can use it again. If something breaks again, maybe you can fix it again or replace a part, or and there are many stages before you get to the point where recycling is the only possibility left, and that's when recycling is okay, but no sooner.
Hmm. I mean, many devices were even told to be more electricity efficient nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom always says I should repair my refrigerator and freezer combination because it's 18 years old. And newer devices take less energy and
Mm-hmm.
are better for the environment. But then you hear other people saying that's not really true.
Yeah, I don't know if I
Well,
agree
it
The
with
goes
that.
for certain. It it goes for certain product categories. Now, for a refrigerator, it is true that you had better buy a new one instead of repairing the old one, but that does not go for coffee makers or radios or vacuum cleaners or lamps or the kind of thing that people bring to repair cafes. And so in many of those cases, it is definitely better to repair it and repair it again and again before replacing it for a newer model.
What's a typical item people are coming in for repair?
Our top three is a coffee maker, vacuum cleaner, and the bicycle.
Oh, bicycle. That's surprising because there are a lot of bicycle repair shops, at least here in
that's
Germany.
true. Yeah,
Okay.
there are in the Netherlands too, but many people want to repair their own bike, or a bike is a kind of thing where people have the idea that it should be fixable. So
depending on the bike, I guess.
Yeah, but it's bike technology is not so very complicated. So that's why people have the idea that well, this should be fixable. When they have a flat tire, they feel that the tire should be fixed. And when they take them to the bicycle repair shop, in many cases the tire gets replaced instead of mended.
Mm-hmm.
So many people who come to a repair cafe feel that this is a sort of skill that they should have, and they want to learn it at the repair cafe. And it's a good way actually to get people enthusiastic for repair, because repairing a bike is not so difficult, and the technique is visible. You can see what needs to be done pretty easily. So it's a rewarding experience, and the chances of success are pretty good. So when someone has succeeded in mending their own bike, they are more likely to go for a repair the next time when something breaks. So it's a good learning experience.
Oh yes. Not breaking something more is even another topic. I think, AJ, we have seen this post on Facebook some years ago where somebody tried to repair a CD drive, and by not knowing what he's doing, he misaligned it so much
Yes, yep.
that he threw it into the bin.
I don't think he threw it into the. He didn't just throw it into the bin. I think he beat it with a hammer first, and then he threw it in the bin. And he did it to several different ones because he screwed up several of them.
And we were like,
didn't read the instructions.
There are people in the community, in the retro community, because we are part of the retro computer community. There are people who know how this is done.
Yeah.
So why didn't you ask those people? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was the very first comment after we saw the post. It was, like it was like a comic strip, image of trying to fix it and having no success. Then hand with hammer, and then pieces broken and stuff. And the very first comment was, well, that's not how you do it. No. and it explained exactly how you fixed it. And well, by that point, there was no repairing it.
Yeah.
And that's actually another topic. Old electronics, like the retro hype that we talk a lot, where people suddenly buy NESs or Super Nintendos or whatsoever, or Game Boys,
mention Amigas,
or mention Amigas, yeah. By more people throwing away and not repairing old electronics, the harder the electronics are to find, and the more expensive they are to get again.
Yeah.
And that is how the prices on eBay go through the roof for things sometimes.
I'm looking at an Amiga 3000 from the late 80s that is currently retailing for $1,041 on eBay. Because nobody saved these things.
Yeah, that's another thing. In the 90s, everybody was like, as you said, Martine, throw away, buy new.
Not only that, but all these machines had breaking my stuff. All these machines had an inherent flaw in them, in that they all had these terrible Varda branded batteries that after about 3 years exploded. And it's an easy enough fix to fix it, but a lot of them look at it and it's just like this mess of battery corrosion, and it's like, throw it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that even got a term, suicidal batteries,
Yes,
they are
yeah.
called.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the 300 meme where it's like, this is Varta, and it's like kicking an old computer into a ditch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's also another topic. I mean, some arcade machines, I have one behind me, were actually produced in the way that there were batteries, especially placed near to.
I'm putting the listing right in the chat, mind you, so that people can see it. It has
they-
the battery replaced. Sorry.
Nice.
Carry on.
No problem. So anyway, actually, some arcade machines actually had batteries placed next to ICs, and that would actually break when the battery leaks or when the battery is getting depleted. So all the memory contents of that IC would erase, and the machine wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So you even have those issues. I mean, I guess that is where the limit of repair cafes comes. I mean, you don't do special repairs, like, as I said, TVs, or I
imagine it
special
depends who
computers.
you've got at the repair cafe. Because I mean, if there's a guy at the cafe that knows how to do TVs, then he's going to fix TVs.
Yeah. You always have to depend on, it depends on the skills that the repairers have. But many repairers have more than one specific repair skill. So
Interesting.
the bicycle repairer is often good with electronics too, or knows about woodworking or stuff like that. So it's more a mindset that the repairer has, a sort of curiosity that they want to find how things work, whether it is a coffee machine or a bicycle, or how a chair is put together.
This resonates because, like, when I get a car, the very first thing I do is I take it all apart because I want to know how it works. You know, and the same thing with like the old machines and stuff. It's like, I got this computer, I've never used an Amiga before. The first thing I did was take it apart and try to figure out what the hell it does and how it works.
Yeah, that's not what people usually do nowadays.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And many, like kids, a few generations ago, it was normal that you would take stuff apart, and of course you would break stuff, and you would not be able to put it back together in one piece. But nowadays, many kids are not allowed to do that anymore. They're not allowed to handle tools.
Right, yeah.
And parents are very protective. They don't want the kids to get hurt. They don't want them to hammer their thumb. Of course, that makes sense. But on the other hand, it's also good to let kids find out what happens when you do something. That's also a mindset that can help you become a repairer.
Yeah, and again, that's what I did when I remember, I have vivid memories of being a kid, and getting like a little RC car, and I played with it for a day, and I went downstairs and took it apart. And of course, my family was against me doing that because they had just spent money buying me this RC car, and if I break it, then they're out however much it cost. And I did break it. So, but I got a working idea of how it worked inside by breaking it.
Yeah, I think that many parents could revalue that aspect.
Yeah.
Or by two. One to break and take apart, and one to keep alive.
Well, yeah, that would be nice. That would have been nice. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I got a surprise. I got a spare one.
I spent months trying to get the thing to work again, and I never could. I don't know what I did to it. Well, no, I know what I did to it. It was called being 8 years old and pulling apart an RC car. That's what I did to it.
But now you could bring it to a repair cafe.
It
if
would
you
probably if I still had it. If I still had it, I could probably look at it and instantly be like, "Oh yeah, I plugged that wire into the wrong thing," and whatever, and then it would be fixed. But at the time, you know, I was just a wee lad.
All right. Well, that's nice. I've learned a lot. So
Yes.
it's also basically a problem of society.
Mhm.
Yeah. And those parents you mentioned, there's a phrase for that. We call them helicopter
Yes,
parents.
helicopter parents. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Over careful, overreacting parents. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's me with my dog. I'm kind of a helicopter parent.
Yeah, but the dog isn't repairing your electronics,
No,
I
he's
guess.
not.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does when I'm not around.
All right. So is there anything you would like to add, Martine, that we didn't?
Well, only that repairing is a good experience.
Mhm.
Really makes you feel good. And I think
Yes.
the more people have that experience, the more people will keep repairing
Mhm.
and will want to repair more, and will stimulate manufacturers to start producing repairable products. And well, that's the way that we should be heading.
Yes, yeah, and building too. You know, I've got the laptop that I'm using right now to record this podcast is a MacBook Pro from 2012 because that was the last one that they made that was upgradable. And I got the base model and I swapped out the hard drive and I took out the DVD drive and put in a second hard drive and maxed out the memory. And there's you get a feeling when you do that. So like I've this is now it's gone from just being a machine that you use to now it's being your machine.
Yeah. You feel strong.
Yes.
You feel proud.
Yeah.
You feel independent.
Right.
That's the way you want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be master of the situation.
Yeah, and I got to tell everybody that sees it like, no, this is what I did to it because you know, because it is a matter of pride that you're able to do that sort of thing, that you're able to fix it, and you know, people don't have that. I had a phone too that I loved that I replaced almost everything on. It was the last phone that it was an LG G5 and it was super repairable. I mean, I give them props for making a phone that they encouraged you to take apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's also many people say I'm crazy to have spent 189 euros on repairing an old CRT TV.
Not at
Two
all,
times.
Because there's 8 of them left in the world. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you save them.
Yeah, true. Well, I still have 2 in my cellar for the worst cases.
You see behind me. You see, do any of these machines have CRTs? No. You know why? Because I can't find one.
Well, that's a different case in America, I guess.
Yeah.
Here in Germany, people are offering them on eBay and stuff.
Yeah, they offer them on eBay here too for like $500, and then
wow.
you get a box, and it's just like, you know, a pile of glass.
I got them
the
for
U.S.
free.
Postal Service is awful.
I got them for free.
Yeah,
from friends who were like,
an iMac G3 a while back. It was a beautiful, beautiful machine. I just wanted to play with it because I never had one. And I got this thing, and it arrived, and it was just like a crumble of plastic and glass. There was nothing left to it.
Oh. Because the Postal Service broke it?
Yes, the Postal Service. But I got a G5, a Power Mac, or a Mac Pro, one of those two. The big aluminum thing, you know? And I got that thing, and they shipped it in the mail. This aluminum was so bent when I got it. I don't know how the Postal Service did it, because, like, I went so far as to try to drive over it with my car to try to straighten it out. It will not straighten out. I don't know if they got like the Hulk working on like the Postal Service, because there's no way you can bend aluminum like that.
Wow.
But they managed to do it. So like, yeah, I'm not buying a CRT through the mail.
I see. I did a couple of times. I was lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said you only had an hour, so we are almost
we're just
reaching an
about
hour
there.
now. Yeah. So I hope it was interesting
Yes,
for you,
is
because
there-
you sent me an email today that you weren't sure if you can contribute a lot. You said earlier, right?
Yeah, because you wanted to talk about electronics and right to repair movement and
Not necessarily.
Well, no, I mean this does all fall into the right to repair, and I mean you've been fantastic. You know, I mean that's everyone when we were doing the right to repair month that we did earlier on, everybody kept kind of pointing us to you because it all kind of started there, you know, and we're like,
Repair
okay, well
Cafe.
we gotta revisit this at some point, you know,
Yeah.
and do that, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
well, that's great to hear. And I'm happy that through Repair Cafe, many people have realized that repairing is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that many more people will start realizing that, and that will, at one point arrive at a more sustainable level, at a more sort of repair society. That would be, well, that's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there a website or any way that people can follow along with what you're doing?
Well, there is the repaircafe.org website
Okay.
where we share news and where you can see the world map of repair cafes and where you can get the starter kit to start your own repair cafe. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. We will put a link to that in the podcast description below. And right down there,
Perfect.
if this turns
Great.
out being a video podcast, which I feel like it is because I've
Sure.
pointed to different things now.
I mean, I see in your background you have pictures.
Yeah, she came prepared. What are we looking at in the back? Is that we're looking at a repair cafe?
That's
Yes.
a repair cafe in
Yeah.
Amsterdam, actually, where they are fixing some sort of, I think it's a
Looks like a PC or no, that looks like a DVD
it's
player or
a
something.
amplifier or a CD player
Yeah.
or, well,
Yeah. Yeah, you see a belt
something.
mechanism in the back, I think it is.
Yeah, that's some kind of disc reader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Belt
Yeah.
mechanism, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Normally our guests don't have pictures in the background. So
Yeah.
No, I
nice.
thought I might try this
Yes.
just to get the repair cafe atmosphere across.
Awesome.
Now we
awesome.
have to do it as a video podcast. We don't have a choice. we have no choice in this now.
Okay,
Sure, perfect.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.